The Clean Power Hour is brought to you by Continental Energy Solutions. I'm Tim Montague, your co-host. Today on the Clean Power Hour, fossil fuels massively fail in Texas, but Gigatexas has snow. We're going to see some photos of that. World's largest battery getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And a hydrogen paste has been invented that stores energy at 10x battery energy density. So we're going to dig into that. And I want to welcome my co-host and the commercial solar guy to the show, John Weaver. Welcome.
Timothy, how do you do, sir? How are you?
It's a winter wonderland here. We got a nice blizzard last 24 hours. There's 12 inches of snow on the ground. I'm just so happy.
Nice. It's weird. I live in New England. However, outside it's raining because it's just over freezing, 35, 36. All the snow that we got over the last few days is now floating away. And, I know there's a new storm coming in a couple days, but this one's not going to be any rain. Or not going to be any snow. So it's funny little weather.
I am glad the power hasn't gone out because it has been very, very cold.
Yeah.
And we've had just barely above 0 Fahrenheit temperatures for the last week. And I know there's a lot of people without power right now in the South, in Texas and surrounding states, and that's no fun. So I feel for them. And it is a lesson that even fossil fuels fail. So
Yep.
I look forward to talking more about that. I think we'll kick off though with a drone footage of the Gigafactory in Texas. I got to let that queue up. And
how's it coming? When's that going to be open? When are we going to start getting stuff from there? Do you have some deets there?
They are going to start producing cars in Gigatexas this year, 2021.
And is it going to be a car or is it going to be the pickup? What's going to be the first one off the line, you think?
I don't know this for sure, but I think Model Y is going to be a priority, and Cybertruck will be coming off the line there. I think they're perhaps pushing Cyber officially though to 2022 as they have pushed Semi, but
truck is next year. I did not know that.
I mean, I think Elon said on Joe Rogan did a third interview with Elon. It was a 3-hour interview, and I did listen to most of it.
Mm-hmm.
But dig this, man. This factory has just popped out of the ground like a mushroom, and I've never seen snow in Texas, so it's refreshing. They've actually stopped construction because of the weather, unfortunately, but things happen. They'll get back there soon. And yeah, I think Musk said hopefully by the end of the year they are planning to roll cars off at Gigatexas. So he's learned to temper his promises because he's gotten in so much hot water with over promising. It's funny how Sandy Monroe really beats this drum of Elon Musk lies and he under promises. He under promises and over delivers. So he's in Sandy's good graces on this front. I'm not quite there myself, but I do appreciate that he's tempered his sometimes unrealistic expectations.
I think
he's stepping back from the full self-driving expectations, John. He's like his most recent comment on the Rogan show, and Joe, I love Joe Rogan, but he's a bit of a numbskull. He had some great opportunities on the interview that he missed. He didn't drill down on full self-driving very much. He didn't drill down on the X Prize. And but Elon said
Joe probably doesn't believe in climate change, so I wouldn't expect him to go too deep in the smart stuff.
Dude, Joe didn't even know that that SpaceX is landing rockets vertically. It was so embarrassing.
Yeah, Joe's a little disappointing to me sometimes. I've heard some of the things he's been saying over the last while, and I like that he gets
Elon was very gracious. He did not give Joe a hard time about being so clueless. And Elon did chide Bill Gates a little bit, who has come out and said that oh,
Yeah.
the electric semi is not going to be a thing. And Elon's like, yeah, I don't think Gates knows what he's talking about. And I think Elon is right, because I don't think Elon could be so wrong about electric trucks. Um, but they also, he did comment in the interview that apparently Elon Musk had a short position on Tesla stock,
You
which,
mean you mean Bill Gates might have had a short position in
correct,
Tesla.
sorry, Bill Gates had a short position. And so Elon and Gates are clearly not the best of friends, although Elon commented that I don't hate Bill Gates. So
Well,
that
you know
was
what?
nice.
Okay, good. Elon, you're a better man than I. I dislike Bill Gates. I'm not going to say I hate him because he does a lot of good stuff for the world. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation are one of the premier health philanthropists around the world, and good gosh, the number of human beings' lives that they've saved and made better. Bill Gates gets to talk all the crap he wants for the rest of his life. He's allowed to. So, but I'm still going to respond to him and call him out on two things that I think are closely interrelated and make me think he's sorry, Tim. Bill's kind of an asshole. And number one, he called Elon a fraud, called it on stage. Him and his buddy Vaclav Smith, they like to pretend they know everything about energy transitions. And he called Elon a fraud. And you know, this is coming from first off, Bill Gates' company committed federal law violations. You know, it broke the law, antitrust law. It paid off people to underhandedly attack the competition. So Bill Gates missed the internet. Bill Gates shorted Tesla. You know what? Bill Gates' opinion on these matters are cool. They're sweet entertainment, but as of yet, they're not substantive in any way other than we have to deal with the crap cleaning up after he speaks. So I like that Bill Gates has put money into the Breakthrough Institute for aggressive, forward moving ideas. And they're usually focused around nuclear fusion, super awesome stuff. But I think he should just shut his mouth when it comes to energy storage, when it comes to EVs, when it comes to solar. And I think him and his buddy Vaclav, they they need to retire gracefully because their misinformation only gives issues to our energy transition. Because if there are those who are listening to them, they're being bullshitted and they're missing stuff, and it's hurting us. And they need to get beyond it because Bill's wrong. And let Elon be nice and gracious, but Bill Gates is wrong on the topic, and he could use some education.
Yep. I I agree. And I think Bill does do some good things for the world. He's very interested in healthcare in the
Mhm.
developing world. And he is interested in energy. He's just not so forward on renewable energy. He's more interested in fusion and next generation nuclear and things like that. So he does have a new book out on climate change. Apparently, I haven't looked at it yet. I'm waiting to hear from some others about what they think before I make that investment. I'll get the audiobook potentially, but anyway, yep, he and Elon. I'm like, well, gosh, he should just team up with Elon because they want to save the world, and they could do it a lot faster if they stop bickering. Get Bezos on that team, but
Maybe it's good that these people are to some degree. I think different ideas, different paces, different things that they're chasing. Uh, I don't
yeah,
know exactly what the balance is, but yeah.
yep. So, oh, we've got a cool story here about a zero emissions tanker, and it also has a really cool paint job. I have to give kudos to whoever uh, hired that artist. That's got to be the coolest paint job I've seen on a boat ever. Um,
Well, I
this
like
is not going to
the.
let me zoom in anymore.
Well, I bet you if you go to the first link in the article, you can zoom in at the header image. It's the original site, and then click on the that image over there. There
Yeah.
you go. A little bigger.
Yep. So it says it's going to use a Corvus energy drivetrain, and I'm no expert on Corvus energy drivetrains, but I've noted that the ferry industry has started to roll out electric battery powered ferries, and and this uh this Corvus system is called the Corvus Orca ESS. I love that name. I love orcas, and of course that refers to the orca whale, which is a carnivorous whale. It is the wolf of the sea. Orca whales can eat great white sharks. Uh, but oh, this is in Bergen too. I lived in Bergen for a few years when I was in college. So
See, you should check out the spec page of the hardware that they have there. It's pretty nice. It's the next link down on your document.
oh really?
Yeah, yeah. See, I'm working for you, Tim. Working live. It's a pretty sweet little subcomponent system they have there. It's each pack is 124 kW. Each module's 5.6 kW. It's just a standard rack.
Yep.
An 8 rack is a megawatt hour. This particular boat, they said it was 3.3 megawatt hours. So I guess it's 3.5, 8 racks. It's pretty cool. And it's designed, and you look at the market segments right there, that list, the applications, it's all boats, ferries, cruise ships. I
Yep.
don't even know what a ro-ro is. Yachts, tugs. So yeah, neat, very neat. Cell level thermal runaway isolation. That's really interesting. I wonder if they have to spend additional money to get certified to be on a boat in a much more complex, tight environment. I bet you groups like DNV GL have looked at this hardware and been like, okay, let's do the work.
Yeah, you don't want your engine catching on fire. Um, but that's true when you have a diesel fired engine as well, and that does happen, unfortunately. So did you learn where Corvus is from anyway?
Oh, not at all. It's Kawasaki Heavy Industries from Corvus Energy. Let's check it out.
Yeah, it looks
Let's
like
see.
Norway.
Awesome. You know what? That makes sense because DNV GL is there. So there you go.
Yeah, now DNVGL is called DNV. They rebranded.
Oh, they got rid of the GL. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I literally wrote an article on them and I said the word GL in the article 5 different times.
Oh,
so
was
so
that
there you
your
go.
latest article
Yes, yes, yes. It was about
for
their battery
PV
test.
Magazine?
No. For my own website. The last
Oh,
magazine, TV magazine article we submitted was based on Pennsylvania, and
okay.
that should be coming up soon. Yeah, we'll talk about that soon.
Yeah, I got your blog on the screen now. So commercial
So,
batteries testing. Some like it hot.
so first off, the title, "The Some Like It Hot." It's because when you get all the way down to the bottom article or bottom of the article, there's a chart with a battery that was tested, and it showed 18 different results, or it showed 3 different results, and the 3 results pointed out we're at different temperatures. One temperature at like 10 degrees, one at 25 degrees, one at 40. This is all Celsius. And interestingly, abnormally, the battery at 40 degrees Celsius had the longest product lifetime. And I thought that was just a nuance that was, first, it's an aberration. Most batteries like to be run at 25 degrees Celsius. That's just our standard-ish temperature range. It's plus or minus a few things. But this one liked 40 degrees, and it liked 40 degrees versus 10 degrees. And this you'll get fully, Tim. The battery, after 1/10 of its lifetime, would degrade 15 to 20% if used in 10-degree weather. If you used it in 40-degree weather, it would do a nice, slow, normal 1-ish% a year battery degradation. So the distance, and that's what this testing is with DNV GL, or DNV, pardon. The key is that each battery chemistry is unique and nuanced, and DNV is testing them and communicating this information in a way that developers who understand their project, who understand battery types, they can solicit DNV for this information on these many, many batteries that were tested and say, hey, I need some data from them. And DNV provides this as a service, I think for free to developers. They charge the battery companies and they'll say, okay, well, if you're doing this, well, here's these batteries, here's how they perform. You need, Mr. Developer, to learn how to fit a battery into your conditions. Is it hot? Is it cold? Is there big draws? Is there less draws? Is there lots of recharging? And this report was just cool. And to see that a battery could act so differently and lose 20% of its electricity generation because of temperature, it's like, oh my goodness, that's a big thing. And so I was super entertained by the report. They test 20 different battery types. It's something I'd love to, read the individual battery reports just to learn. I bet you there's so much great nerdy information in there on every single battery. So DNV GL or DNV battery testing, you should look them up if you're going to be buying some batteries.
Yeah, it's amazing. I have that graph now on screen
Look
of the 20 different types they test. I knew, I knew of the major categories, NMC and LFP and MnO2. Okay. But truly, pretty diverse variety of chemistries here. And they're trying to get away from some of these rare earth elements. And, for example, go towards LFP, lithium iron phosphate, which is a little less prone to runaway and has less human rights challenges than NMC, for example, right? Isn't NMC the preferred Tesla chemistry today?
Yes, sir. And I hypothesize that either the H or the B are Tesla batteries.
Mm-hmm.
And I hypothesize that because Tesla doesn't like their batteries being fully charged. And so this is a state of charge range. This document looks at how a battery degrades based upon where its state of charge is.
Mm-hmm.
And not all batteries want to be fully charged and left there. In fact, some of them don't like it, and Teslas don't. They specifically tell you to keep it undercharged when you're local. So any battery that has the blue at the top and green lower, we, kind of played a little math and said, I think those two are the Teslas.
That's another gripe of mine about my Tesla is it always complains when I want to charge it to full, but my trip is really hampered if I don't charge it to full. So now I just leave it charging to full because I don't know when I'm going to go on a long trip many times. And I don't know how badly I'm hurting the battery, but it warns me, hey, you're going to hurt the battery if you do this. But then why give it that rating, John? They really shouldn't give it the rating if you can't regularly charge the battery to the full 100%. That's baloney.
Yeah, I mean, I want to learn about how degradation really starts to work out, and if you charge the battery to the full 100%, I think you'll be at 80% capacity in 200,000 miles, and you can do it. You're just going to wear the battery faster. If you want to be at 80% after 500,000 miles, then you go with it. Now, you as a professional who's hard charging, you're the type of guy who's going to wear out a car every 4 years, 5 years, because that's just the nature of it. And so it might be that somebody with your model has to push it a little harder and will wear the battery more. And someone who's a little bit lighter driver who covers less land like me will wear it a little bit less. We'll see. It's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah, what somebody pointed out on I gave a 100-day review, as I mentioned last week. It's been getting a lot of views. I'm super excited that people are watching my little 100-day review. It's just a 15-minute video I made while driving the car, and they've been commenting that, for example, what we really need is a standard in cold weather and warm weather, because the batteries are dinged in cold weather. I knew batteries were not going to perform as well in cold weather. I just want the car to tell me if I'm in a cold environment what the range is going to be, because the car certainly knows. And that's all. I just want truth and range. I don't expect the technology to not change as temperature changes. The good news is it will get the full 300 miles in warm weather. Apparently, you don't have to drive like a grandmother, which was my fear. So,
Well, so the cold weather, technically the battery cold weather loss is actually very small. It's a tiny number. What the real cold weather loss number is that I found is the heating. The heating and driving at 72 miles an hour on my northeastern roads where I can all drive at 65 speed limits. And so that high speed plus the heating sucks the juice. I, I, I
see, I
haven't,
found I
that's,
also
that's what
got
I
some
think.
I got some comments that preheating for an hour before your
Mhm.
drive will greatly impact your range. And I tested that theory, and I didn't preheat for a full hour, but preheating when you're plugged in, right? So you're just pulling from the grid instead of pulling from the battery to run the heat pump. And I do like it that it uses a heat pump. That's pretty cool. And that Tesla has apparently designed their own heat pump, but
Yep.
but it uses a lot of power to do that preheating. So we'll see how that impacts the electric bill. I've been doing some more longer drives. I've been going to Chicago. It looks like that's going to kick in
Nice.
here again. So I used to go to Chicago twice a week. Then I started going up and back and then spending the night in Chicago. So anyway, um, let's move on. GreenTech Media, our friends at GreenTech are going through some changes. And John, I have to admit, this is very fuzzy because it depends on who you talk to. The Twitter feed that you show is from Emma Foringer, who's one of the journalists, says GTM will soon be ending its run. Now, others on LinkedIn have said, well, they're just shutting down the brand, but not necessarily shutting off all of the outlets. I mean, they have several newsletters, and of course they host events, and they have this cadre of journalists. So do you know what the real scoop is?
Well, it's all of it. I mean, Emma doesn't have a job. I don't think Julian Spector has a job. I don't know exactly. I do know that there are people looking for jobs. So some people are being let go. Number two, the GreenTech Media brand name is gone now. It's all going to be absorbed into Wood Mac McKenzie. Wood Mac makes money selling reports, selling data. They've already bought the energy storage reports. They've already bought the solar reports. Those people are going to keep going. They're going to keep their payroll services or paywall services tight. They're probably going to lessen the amount of renewable information we get. If we lose Emma, we lose Julian. That's a lot of source of news. People just collecting information and getting it out there on a well-known source. So those are people who know a lot of stuff. Will portions of it still be alive? Yeah, I'm certain. How much of it will we lose access to as WoodMac goes that way? And then, of course, let's remember WoodMac is an oil company, oil and gas company. And I know some individuals within their group that are quite on the side of oil and gas perspective. And whenever an event occurs, they're happy to jump on the hammer down renewables train. Happy, ecstatic. I remember from one of their LinkedIn posts, it was delicious the way California power outages were looking in the press. I mean, they were ecstatic to see what occurred, and now, of course, we see the opposite happening in Texas, and this individual's dancing around what's going on. So there will be a loss. That is without a doubt. We are going to lose something. Whether this talent is able to bubble back up at other publications and we're net even, cool. But I think there's going to be a net loss for the free information world, and that's disappointing. So
Yeah. No, I mean, if the group goes away and the content goes away, I'm totally bummed, because I don't have a budget for those reports, generally speaking. And so, yeah, I'm just curious. I hopefully somebody will
I
send a
hope
clear signal, because it's been very muddy.
I did see some seemingly rich guy say, "Hey, I'm trying to buy the brand name from WoodMac so I can re-up the name," and because there were those saying, "Hey, we should get some philanthropists to keep this going. We need this
Yeah.
name out there," and the individual stated explicitly they're trying. He was attempting to get the parent to release the IP, and we'll find out if WoodMac wants that in the world. I mean, we now explicitly have had someone who seems to be of wealth who has stated they're attempting
Yeah.
to buying it, and we'll
Yeah.
see.
Sure. That's also a good solution.
Yeah.
We got a story about Meyer Burger, and I ran with, I got clued into what Meyer Burger's up on the show a couple weeks ago, and followed
Mhm.
up on the ultra low carbon solar alliance, and now have posted an interview which I'll show at the end of the show today. But so thank you. And Meyer Burger is making progress apparently on their new cell factory.
Yes. Technically, I don't think this cell factory is their cell factory. I think it's a third party, but it's the cell factory that will feed their solar panel factory. But I'm not exactly certain. It's probable that this cell factory will use the Meyer Burger machines, though, because Meyer Burger makes the machines that turn
Yeah.
the wafers into strategic cells. So yeah, so there you go, Meyer Burger project. Oh man, that's so cool. Love seeing these pictures. Please tell me, any interest in info on this low carbon alliance? I know everybody can watch the video, but do you have a high level book report on it?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, my interview is with Michael Parr. He's the founding executive director. This initiative started a few years ago, and they just went live towards the end of last year. They are developing what they call an eco label for solar panels and other solar equipment. They're focused initially on solar panels, and the label will be a representation of the carbon footprint of the manufacturer of the solar panels. What Michael points out is that all panels are not created equal, that there are lots of panels that are made with very dirty energy, especially in one province of China. I don't know that province off the top of my head.
I do.
And so the delta between high and low carbon panels, though, is by a factor of two. A low
Wow.
carbon panel would have 50% of the carbon footprint of a high carbon panel. And he said that manufacturers have been coming to them more than anything right now. Meyer Burger is one of the founding members. QCell is another founding member. And so that's the long and short of it. The eco label is going to take a little while. They're working with a third party standards organization. He was not able to disclose who that is. And but it's analogous to Energy Star. I'll put the Alliance's website on screen here. Ultralowcarbonsolar.org is their website. And but if you're familiar with Energy Star for appliances, which is a U.S. government certification and effectively an eco label, right? How energy efficient is your refrigerator or your washing machine on a scale of, I don't know, 1 to 100, something like that. So this is coming in the solar industry, and it's honestly overdue. First Solar is also part of the alliance. You see some thin film solar panels here in this photo on their website, and then the members. Here are the founding members. HSC Hemlock. That's a American company out of Michigan. Rex Silicon, originally Norwegian company, now I think based in Southeast Asia. Norson, another Norwegian crystal and I guess making wafers. Wacker is also, or Wacker as he says, is an American, or they have American offices.
Yes.
We
Yes.
see REC here, Norwegian crystal. So the Norwegians, I love all things Norway. The Norwegians are well represented. And then of course there's Meyer Burger and 1366. That was a new name for me. Have you heard of 1366 Technologies?
Sure. They're pretty awesome.
What do they do?
They make keyless solar wafers.
Oh,
They
kerfless.
kerfless solar wafers. Yes, they're
That's another
working.
word you taught me, and I was able to speak to that a little bit on the interview with Michael. Apparently, kerf is the dust that's
Yes.
made when you're cutting the wafers,
Hmm. Yep.
and
And
so
yeah, and
kerfless is a big deal, right? Lot more
future big
material.
deal. Future big deal. Yeah, you can knock out. You can cut. Well, if you're a kerfless, you could probably make super dirty using super dirty electricity if you were kerfless using the technology from 1366 or another group who's developing NextWaff. Those folks, their wafers could be 1/3 the thickness, 1/4 the thickness. And so they would literally use 1/4 the electricity because they use 1/4 the polysilicon, and the polysilicon is where the electricity usage occurs. So if you get through that by being kerfless, you immediately would be low carbon, even with the dirtiest electricity, because the polysilicon is the biggest electricity usage in the process. So that's kind of a jump start into the polysilicon stuff. So
Yep. So if you want to catch that interview with Michael Parr, check it out at cesnrg.com/podcast, where all of this content lives, including the Clean Power Hour with me and John right there. So check it out, and it's a great interview. This is my most proud moment, I think, of 2021 so far. So to our listeners, please meet the challenge, rise to the occasion, and give me a better interview to offer the world on the solar industry, because I think the Alliance is doing some really great work and important work. We've all known, John, that solar panels do make up for their carbon footprint, right? After they've been generating power for a few years. I think the rule of thumb is 2 to 3 years. But obviously that's a spectrum. And
mhm.
then, as you and I have discussed also on the show, there's the whole repurposability and the other elements in the panel. I'm going to have First Solar come back on the show, and we're going to talk about their manufacturing process, because they make some very grand claims about their environmental friendliness, and recyclability is a big thing with
Mhm.
thin film.
Yep.
Upwards of 90% of the materials in a thin film panel made by First Solar can be recycled. So that's huge, because it is not easy to recycle crystalline solar panels. The Alliance isn't so interested in recyclability or recycling yet. I don't know of another organization that's really taking that on, other than maybe the Silicon Valley Toxics initiative.
There are definitely panel recycling groups going on. PV Europe um, is a group, and they actually have a facility in France that went live last year. And that facility is large enough to handle all current solar panel volume that would go to a landfill. So PV Europe, and it's probably just EU focused, maybe 27, 26-ish states. And and I think they have and their plans to scale. So there are facilities in place for Europe already. China's chatting about it. Japan has a tiny bit more, and the PV Europe's parallel in the U.S. has also made moves as well. So there are organizations looking to take every single panel and extract every dollar from it, and then that's coming. It's already in Europe. It's happening. We're watching. Everybody's learning. We're figuring out the numbers. It's a challenge. We need to make money off of it. If we
Are
just
they
break.
are they scoring, for example, zero waste manufacturing, though? Like the ability to make panels with no waste coming from the end product, right? Because the end product can be completely recycled.
So first off, 99% of the solar panel can get recycled at this stage. The only things that don't fully get recycled are literally the dusts that arise as different aspects of the panel are
Hmm.
ground up and put in
Hmm.
the stuff. I haven't seen scores explicitly placed on a panel giving it a recyclability score or reusability score. So I can't give you anything there. But I do remember this article where the manager at the recycling plant, he gave that stat. He goes, listen, Solar panels are almost all recycled. The only thing that we can't recycle are these brushes and these cleaning things that deal with the dust associated with it. So it's really like, and these organizations are moving toward, you know what? I haven't seen an explicit score on recyclability. However, I know explicitly that PV Europe is talking about it because they have a goal. 3, 4, 5 years ago, when I first wrote about them, they were at 95, 96, 97% recyclability. And they talked how they had moved forward to 97, 98, and they have an explicit goal of 100% recyclability. So that means somebody's scoring somewhere and considering what makes a panel recyclable or not. And it's out there. I don't know if there's a score yet, a sticker on your box that you can get, but somebody knows the math. And so it'll probably filter out to us.
Yeah. So we have a related story, and tangentially related, but and I look forward, John, to bringing more content about the environmental footprint of solar equipment. Okay, I think this is truly essential because we are in the sustainability industry, and we're often promoting the sustainability benefits of solar, which are legit, but it's a spectrum. And many companies, as Michael Parr points out, need to sharpen their game and move off of dirty electricity. That's a big one. It's not easy because if you're in a region where there's only coal power on the grid, you have no choice but to move your factory. And of course, pressure the authorities, et cetera, to green the grid, but that's a longer term game. So anyway, um, the true value of solar power is a great story. And I like this story for a couple of reasons. The story that I found was on Science Daily that's on screen, but it's based on a story from Michigan Tech University, which is a small public university up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, where I go cross country skiing in the winter and camping in the summer. It's a beautiful area, Houghton Hancock, and so Michigan Tech is a powerhouse when it comes to engineering technology. It started as a mining college. This is copper mining country. Truly, the region was made super wealthy on copper mining, and then the copper industry collapsed in the early part of the 1900s. And I guess when copper kind of went global, and there were other sweeter sources of copper found than in the UP, although they're starting to explore reactivating some of those mines. But the article points out, long and short, that basically utilities have a habit of dinging solar as having limited value, and this article points out that there's a whole suite of values, including um, benefits to the grid, lower maintenance costs. You're reducing the amount of fuel needed to produce electricity for the grid, generating capacity, reserve capacity, avoided transmission capacity, and then, of course, the environmental and health benefits, which we're fond of promoting. So it's just nice that somebody's shining a light on all the other benefits, or as they say, the true value of solar.
So the report actually quantifies the number, and it says that solar is undervalued anywhere from 8 to 51 cents per kilowatt hour. This number lines up with prior research I've seen. And there's a lot more variables that people don't consider other than straight up electricity. And that's really what's gotten us into this problem in the first place. And you very graciously said utilities like to ding solar power. But let's be blunt. The electric utilities have known since the late 1950s that climate change was coming, and they've been lying, and they've been paying off politicians, and they've been manipulating the minds of America, and literally poisoning human beings and killing human beings for profits. So they're not dinging, Timothy. They're lying. They're manipulating the public, and they're manipulating regulators by purposely misrepresenting the value of resources. And they're doing this because they're scared. They like their static model, whatever it is, their ideology, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's happening though. And this report, we covered a report on my own website a month ago that showed New England solar people explicitly saved $1.8 billion in wholesale energy costs and $3 billion in health costs for the region. And this isn't New England solar owners who got the $4 to $5 billion in benefit. It's New England. So, the 6, 7, 8, the 7, 8, 9 million people that live up here, they all gain from the solar that we installed, not just the owner. And this needs to be yelled, because you're going to hear it again, Tim. You're going to hear some politician who's kowtowing to the people, and they're going to say, "Oh, little old ladies and poor people are paying for solar for rich folk," and they're lying. And we need to be explicit about this, and we need to hold these people accountable, because they're stealing, they're lying, and that's what they do. They don't ding, they lie. And sorry, I got some emotion there, Tim.
Yeah, it's hard not to be emotional when you work in our industry, because there is a lot of pushback from the powers that be on renewable energy. The utilities have long drug their feet, and not now so much, but still in places like Illinois, there are some very powerful utilities, Exelon being one of them, and Commonwealth Edison, their subsidiary, are not a wind at our backs. They are a force to reckon with. And it's very easy for them to put roadblocks in our way. It's very easy for them to say, oh, well, you can do a solar project here, but you have to do this expensive upgrade. And the cost of that upgrade could be artificially high. And luckily, developers have been moving to Illinois from other places, and they go, wait a minute, Mr. Utility, we've been doing this on the East Coast for 10 years, and it doesn't cost $1 million. It should cost half of that. So they are speaking truth to power. And that is one of the advantages, I guess, of the Illinois, of solar going mainstream and becoming more of a national and not just a regional thing. So yeah, good story. And the value of solar is underestimated, long and short of it. Yeah, we didn't really do Texas a any justice when we were talking about the Gigafactory and Elon Musk and Bill Gates. So let's talk a little more about the grid collapse in Texas. As we speak, there are hundreds of thousands of people who are without power, maybe millions, I don't know, in Texas. And you have been following this story on Energy Twitter, and I am curious, what have you learned?
So it's not trivial. People are dying. Literally, overnight, 2 people died warming themselves in their car, I think in their garage. And we all know things to do and not to do, but sometimes people mess up and make dumb mistakes in moments of stress. And so it's a serious thing. It's really rough. My company, commercial solar guy, we have a lawyer. He's an energy lawyer. His name is Marshall Hawkins. He lives down there. His house is in and out of power over the last 2 days. He's got a child and an old man in the house. His pops lives with him, and it's stressful. He's got to figure it out. And so right now, what has occurred is that first off, this cold front that's moving across the United States, it is a record cold front. These are 30-year and 100-year records. So infrastructure is being tested in ways it wasn't designed for, and that's fundamentally what's occurring. Is that the 96% of the missing electricity is from failures of natural gas pumping facilities. Uh, there are the gas that would be moving toward electricity is either A, being lost in the fields, locked in the fields because infrastructure is freezing and it can't pump it. And B, the gas is being shifted from electricity generation to heating because, of course, heating is more important than electricity at a moment like this. And, uh, and so this is leading to a collapse of up to 30 gigawatts of missing electricity. Wind turbines on Sunday, half of the Texas wind turbine fleet was frozen because the wind turbine fleet in Texas isn't winterized like it is up north. Now, the lucky thing with the wind is that the other half of the turbine fleet was overperforming so much that there was actually excess wind than what was projected. So on Sunday, wind was cool. On Monday, wind was mostly cool. It was a little bit light in the evenings and even coming into the morning. But overall, that wasn't the issue. The issue was that we lost greater than 26 gigawatts of gas infrastructure and even had some nuclear down for a tiny bit of time, for a few hours. And we even have coal that's frozen. Coal piles are frozen. And we know that these issues can occur. In 2011, there was a major freeze that caused gas issues and coal issues. And this is just what occurs when extreme events occur. This is not a normal weather event for this region. We don't build infrastructure for 100-year events. Are you? Have you ever heard an inch of snow will bring down Washington D.C.? Did you know that, Tim?
I know that Washington D.C. drivers can't handle snow. I didn't know that an inch would bring it down, but yeah,
Here's
you know,
why. They don't have plow trucks sitting in a warehouse. They don't have salt. They don't have that skill set. I live in South Florida my whole life. I did not have heating in my homes. Uh, we build different infrastructure in different regions of the country. Tim, you casually mentioned, "Ooh, it's chilly outside. It's 10." In Florida, that would kill people. I mean, it's just we build things differently. And Eskimos are chuckling at you in your 10 degrees, and they're like the natives. They're like, "Hey, it's proper cold up here. It's negative 10." And so
yeah.
it's just we build differently around the world. I think it's the people from Norway or Scandinavians. They say there's no such thing as cold weather. There's missing gear, inappropriate gear. I bet you the Russians say the same because these people live in cold and they build their gear differently. And that's what's occurred is that the frailty of the energy system in 100-year events is not trivial. And Texas is getting whacked right now. And it's not just Texas, it's headed into MESO, Southeast region, the South. So that's like Texas, that's Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi. And it also went into the Southern Power Pool, which is north, into the Oklahoma's regions. And, uh, and so there's other regions that are being affected by this weather event. It's not affecting the grid up where you guys are because your grid's used to it to a degree. It'd have to get to like negative 40 to probably whack your systems.
Yeah, some of the utilities in the upper Midwest have started to ask consumers to use less heat. Turn your thermostat down, for example.
Mhm.
But we haven't seen anything in MISO. I live in MISO. I haven't seen anything in Ameren territory so far here in Central Illinois. But yeah, that story I put on screen is the New York Times says a glimpse of the future in Texas. Climate change means trouble for power grids. And that is so true as we saw last year or the last several years in California. And now the opposite in Texas, where it's unusually cold weather. And that's the thing. Climate change is not just one thing. It's not just heat waves. It's not just floods. It's not just more storms. It's a myriad of things. And so we truly need to. My bottom line, John, is we need to rebuild the grid from the ground up and make it super resilient and put more of this infrastructure underground, for example, where it's much more protected from the elements. But rough stuff, rough stuff. Well, I think we're gonna call it a day, are we not? We're gonna have to get back to that hydrogen paste story next week. It's a goodie, but how can our listeners find you, John?
Commercial solar guy. I'm on the internet all over. If you type in commercial solar consultant on the #1 result in Google, and you can find me on my Twitter account as Solar and Mass. You can find us on LinkedIn. Of course, we have a website, commercialsolarguy.com, Instagram, Facebook. I'm on Reddit yelling at people. So all over, all over.
Excellent. And you can find me at cesnrg.com/podcast. As I mentioned earlier, and you can find all of our interviews with people like NREL. We talked about hybrid power plants last week, the T29 tracker with Sunfolding, a air-driven tracker, really innovative tracker for the solar industry, and then guys like Jake Rosemarin, who's a young thought leader from Antenna Group, and we broke down the 5 clean tech trends for 2021. And then, of course, all of our clean power hours are there as well. So check it out. I want to thank you, commercial solar guy John Weaver, for giving us another wonderful episode of the Clean Power Hour. And I will see you next week. Have a great day, everybody.
Absolutely.